Hey guys, it's Tyler McKinney back here again, and today we're going to get back into the XFL Draft. We got some more information, and so let's go ahead and let's talk about it. To give you guys a quick recap on what we've learned so far. Pretty much we've learned so far that the XFL Draft will be on the 15th and the 16th of October. So it's going to be coming up here very shortly, and that each one of the teams is going to get a quote-unquote Tier 1 quarterback that's going to be assigned to them before the draft. That was pretty much the information that we knew. Now, today, we just got a whole load of a lot of information thrown at us. So I'm going to try to break down the draft process in this video, and then we're going to have a follow-up videos might be that we're going to look at the actual players that are going to be in this draft and kind of highlight some of those guys, whether they be, guys with great college careers or guys that were really promising in the in the NFL preseason or guys that had some hype in that. So we'll go ahead and we'll look at those things. But today we're going to focus basically on the actual draft structure. All right, so first and foremost, Oliver Luck came out and said that they try to make this as fair across the board as possible. They don't have anything like the NFL to go off of, giving the teams that have quote unquote less talent because of the results of the last season and giving them an advantage over the teams that did better. So they don't have any of that. So they're just going to try to make it as fair as possible across the board. So they did some type of a lottery, and what happened was the DC Defenders came out with the very first choice. And then it's looking like the DC Defenders got the second choice, and that the Los Angeles Wildcats got the first pick, and then the DC Defenders got the second choice. Sorry, I had them backwards because of they're doing a whole phase thing. So what's actually happening with the draft? The draft is going to be kind of a normal draft and kind of like something that you would find in fantasy draft. They call it like a snake draft, which means that whatever team picks first in one round, they then are the last to pick the next round. And so pretty much teams just swap. So with it being 8 teams, the first team will be the 8th team, the 8th team will be the first team, 2nd, 7th, 3rd, 6th, 4th, 5th. You just swap them in each round. That's how they're going to swap. So that's how a snake draft works. Now this one's going to be a little bit different. What's going to happen in this one is that they're going to break this up into the actual draft's going to be a process of 5. They're going to have 5 different segments. All right. So the first segment's going to be skill players, which you're looking at your tight ends, your wide receivers, your running backs, and your quarterbacks. And those are going to be the players that are going to be picked in the first segment. And that segment's going to have 10 picks for each team. And again, they're going to go back and forth each round. And so that's going to be the first half, or the first segment of it. The second segment is going to then be where they're going to be picking the offensive line positions, with offensive tackle, offensive guard, and offensive center. And they're going to pick 10 players each team for that one. The third section of it is going to then be the defensive front 7. What they mean by the defensive front 7 is that they're the 7 players that play closest to the ball. So it's going to be your defensive line players, your defensive tackles, your defensive end, and if they've got a nose guard, it's going to be the nose guard. And then you've got your linebackers are going to be part of that. And they're going to pick 10 players from that one for that section. The fourth section then is going to be then the defensive backfield, which is going to be the safeties and the cornerbacks, nickelbacks, whatever you want to call them. But that's going to be, then those are the 4 positions that are going to be furthest away from the ball on defense. Those, then each team's going to get 10 picks in that. Then the last section is going to be it's going to be the final section. It's going to be section 5, and each team gets 31 picks. They can pick whoever they want, whenever they want in that final section. So breaking it down, the first section is going to be skill position players. The second section is going to be the offensive line. The third section is going to be the defensive front 7, linebackers and defensive line. Then the fourth section is going to be the defensive backs, the safeties, the cornerbacks. And then the fifth section is going to be anybody. And so that's, I think that's kind of cool how they're doing that. Now, when they did this draft lottery, what they did is that they figured out, I don't know, somehow they put all the names and they came out with it, and the LA Wildcats got the first pick. And they decided that they wanted to be the first team to pick in the second tier with the offensive linemen. So they wanted to start out in the section with the offensive linemen. They wanted to be the ones to pick first for that one. And then the DC Defenders, they had the second pick. And so they decided that they wanted to be the first team to pick in the skilled players position. So technically, they're going to have the very first pick over the whole draft. And so they just kind of went with a lottery from there. They didn't really say from there. They only really mentioned the two first picks that were going to happen, but then they're going to go from there. And actually, I'm going to go through, they have on their website the list of how everything is. So I'm going to run over that like in each section, who's picking what in each section, just so that we can kind of go over it and have an idea. And I will try to put a banner across the bottom so you can kind of see with that, just who's picking when and what with that dynamic, because it is kind of cool to look at it. So the order, we're looking at phase 1. The first section, the skill positions. We've got DC is picking first. You got Houston who's picking second. New York's picking third. Dallas is picking fourth. And Tampa Bay's picking fifth. St. Louis is picking sixth. Seattle seventh. And the eighth pick in that section is going to be LA. Now, for the second section or phase, they're picking the old line. LA's got the first pick. Seattle has the second pick. St. Louis has the third pick. The fourth one is Tampa Bay. Fifth is Dallas. Sixth is New York. The seventh pick is Houston. And then the eighth, bringing up the rear, is DC. The third phase, or the defensive front seven phase, is going to be Tampa Bay first, then St. Louis, then Seattle, LA fourth, fifth DC, sixth Houston, seventh New York, and last will be Dallas. Now the fourth section, the order is going to be in the DB phase for the defensive backfield. First is going to be Dallas, second is going to be New York, then Houston, then DC, fifth is LA, sixth Seattle, seventh St. Louis, and bringing up the rear will be the eighth team, Tampa Bay. Now in the open phase, which would be the last phase, where they're going to pick the last 31 players. So the first four phases, each team picks 10 players. The last phase, each team is going to be picking 31 players. And that is going to be the open phase, or in the fifth section, and that's going to start off with Seattle. I'm sorry, not Seattle. St. Louis, New York. Third is Seattle. Fourth is LA. Fifth will be Tampa Bay. Sixth, Houston. Then DC, and last will be Dallas at the eighth spot. Now, you're kind of wondering, how in the world are they going to pick all of these in 2 days? Well, the thing is that each team is going to get a 90-second clock to make their pick. And the interesting thing about this is that with these drafts, normally like you get things televised and things. We are not getting any of that with this draft. With this draft, they pretty much came out and said that we're going to be notifying the public and everybody via like some type of social media on the website. So it'll be really interesting. All of this is going to be done at their headquarters. So in Stamford, Connecticut, they're going to have all of this done at their headquarters, and it doesn't look like it's going to be, some big media thing or whatever. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if they do some type of a social media blitz with that. It'll be interesting. They've hired some social media people, so we might see some, blitzes with how the teams, maybe they'll have a ticker on their website, and then, things will happen on their Twitter feed or whatever. It would be kind of cool if they had kind of a running ticker along the website. You could just keep track of things as they transpired and as the teams, went through and did their picks. I found that this was a really interesting draft. setup for me. I thought it was pretty cool with how they did it. I think that they really tried to make everything as fair as possible. Now, this is going to be the first draft. Now, we were talking about, and we really didn't get any really clarification early on about college players, how they would figure in the mix with that. Now, in November, they're planning on having a supplemental draft. Don't know a whole lot about the supplemental draft, but we do know that college players who are done for the season will be eligible in this supplemental draft, as will players who were on NFL teams during this 15th and 16th draft who are no longer on NFL teams in November. Those players will be available in this November supplementary draft. So we'll see what happens when they come out with more information about that. The thing that's interesting is we still really haven't heard about who their top 1-tier quarterbacks are yet. So I would look forward to probably hearing that in the next couple of days, I would say, because we're a little over a week away. I would imagine that they would probably start putting that information out about a week away. So maybe midweek we might find it out, where this is Monday night that we're kind of talking about this stuff. So I don't know. My thoughts with it, I think they're doing it fair. I like that we're finally getting some information, and I like how they've strategized this whole process and really tried to make it as even as possible and give every team an opportunity. I really like how they've done this process. What they've really done is allowed each one of the teams, first, they've made it completely fair across the board. And what they've done is allowed each one of the teams to really prioritize where, what they feel is important to their team, where are the areas of emphasis that they want to get the talent, and allowed them then to position themselves to draft that and make that an importance in their draft in each one of the sections. It's something that I've never seen done, where they've done it by positions and done that in different sections, so it's pretty cool concept and process. Now it's going to be pretty quick and pretty fast. So I'm just kind of interested to see how all of that's going to lay out and in the process, and how it's going to going to take and do, and how it's going to be able to follow it and stuff. I didn't really catch anything on any time, like exactly when they were going to be doing it, so I don't know if they're going to be doing it during the day. It's going to be something that's going to happen in the evening, something that we can kind of follow with. Seems to be that they're going to be using some type of social media and the website to let everybody know with that. So that'll be pretty interesting. But I'm pretty excited about it. So again, just to reiterate, they're going to be doing the draft. It'll be done in 5 different phases. First phase, 10 picks, be the skill players. Second phase, 10 picks, O-line. Third phase will be the defensive front 7, 10 picks each team. Fourth phase will be the DBs, and each team will get 10 picks in that. And then the fifth section will be the open phase, and that'll be they can pick anybody, any position that they want, and that's including kickers in that one, and then also punters and long snappers in that section as well. So yeah. Looks pretty cool. I'm kind of excited to see what we end up with. The question is, what do you think? Do you like the draft setup that they have? Do you think that they could have done a better job? What are your thoughts? I'd like to hear them. Please go ahead and let me know down in the comments. I would love to have, if you like this video, give me a like. Love to get that thumbs up. And also, if you haven't, please subscribe. I need all the help I can get. That's all it is. Well, I know that you're busy, and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.